Get started with the Monday, January 26, 2026, regularly scheduled meeting of the Airport Advisory Board, New Smyrna Beach Airport Advisory Board. So I can ask everyone if they would to silence their phone so we don't have any ringers or calls or anything, text message prompts going off. And Teresa, if you'll do the roll call, we'll get started.
Yes. Chair Dempsey?
Here.
Vice Chair Startley? Absent for the record. Member Caudell?
Here.
Member Lester?
Here.
Member Mabe?
Here.
All right, thank you for that. And that moves us to item 2, the presentation section. And we're going to do a little change here in order to give the, we have a presentation from the Deputy Chief of the New Smyrna Fire Department, Dan Hirschberger, that was originally put into the safety section. I think we need a motion to move it up to the presentation section so that we can let him go ahead and make his presentation and go on with his business. So if I can get someone to make a motion to move it to presentation, we can do that.
I'll move it.
Second?
Second.
Okay, that's good. All right. So the...
Let me do the motion.
Just got to call the roll.
Yeah.
Roll call for the motion?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Chair Dempsey?
Yes.
Member Caudell?
Yes.
Member Lester?
Yes.
Member Mabe?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. All right. Deputy Chief, it's up to you. If you'd come to the podium and introduce yourself to the group and tell us what you're going to talk about.
Dan Harshberger, Deputy Fire Chief for New Smyrna Beach. Just want to acknowledge Arvin for asking me to come and speak to y'all. Really just wanted to kind of give you an overview of the fire department and how we operate in conjunction with the airport. I know we have quite a few interactions with the airport, whether it be through emergencies or training, other different opportunities that we have to interact with the staff. We recently just had some training, I guess, with our communications for the tower, between the tower and the communication center that's handled by the county. We have some changes coming up with the current radio system, so, excuse me. So they've made changes to the radios in the tower as well as far as those capabilities of communicating with our central. That's one of the things that we try pretty much annually. We try to do some kind of training to make sure that everybody's up to speed with how they're contacting Central when you guys do have a declared emergency. One of the things that we're really happy with is we have Station 53 right there on airport property. So if something, granted it's staffed 24/7, the only time, obviously, it's to cover the entire part of the city. So, but usually if there's a call that comes in on airport property, we have that truck right there, which is really good. They have access through that side gate and get some quick access to the airport property. So I know we've had a handful of incidents. It seems like we've had a few more than usual lately, but the response has been really quick. And our surrounding stations, we have at that station, we have one fully staffed, one staffed engine, but we have our 3 additional stations, and you also have Port Orange just down the street, not just down the street, but down the highway that can also respond. And then we have County Station 23, Station 21 as well. So you've got a multitude of fire stations within a quick response time to that location. So I just wanted to give you that kind of broad overview as far as what capabilities we have. It's the truck we have is a standard engine. We just put a brand new engine at that station. For the airport, we actually added a specific type of foam system that it's not typically put on the fire truck apparatus, but because it was going to that station, we added that to the spec. So that if we need to lay foam down, it'll be a lot easier and quicker. So that's something we did add to that specific truck. Excuse me. It's, I don't know if you've seen the what looks to be the old military style crash fire rescue truck that's out there. It's okay. That truck is non-operational. Has been for quite some time. It was a government auction type product that we were able to get. I believe an Oshkosh crash fire rescue that came from Air Force Base, I believe. So that's something you're going to see actually be moved out of there here shortly if it hasn't already been removed. It's just beyond our capabilities as far as fixing. But it doesn't mean as far as our response goes, it's still going to be, we currently respond with the engine anyways to the airport. So other than that, I just wanted to give you the opportunity if you had any questions for me as far as.
I do.
Yeah, okay.
The reason that we had that conference call that you participated in, along with some others,
Yes.
Arvin, myself, the tower, was because of the event that we did have where we had an airplane on the ground for 7 minutes after he landed from declaring an emergency for an electrical fire in the cockpit. And there were some clear issues that came out of that regarding the tower personnel's ability to quickly use the equipment that was there and with confidence.
Correct.
Okay. And so I know that and I saw some follow-up where there was some training done, et cetera. What is being done to make that a continuing activity so that when new controllers are brought into our tower or new personnel, they're going to get the same training and understanding of how do we know that's going to continue?
So and that's something that's extremely, that's actually an easy one compared to some of the other. We can, regardless of whether it's, if you bring on a new, as part of an orientation process, we can.
Onboarding, whatever you
Yeah,
want to call
whatever
it.
you- yeah,
But there
however-
needs to be a formal
yeah.
something that's
Yeah,
put in
if
place so
you-
that when the tower gets a new hire, because my understanding of sitting in on that Zoom meeting was that we had people at the tower that weren't comfortable, didn't fully understand exactly how to use that communication device to get 911. And I don't want us to get into another hole, okay?
Absolutely
I want
not.
some kind of formal process that continues that that's not dependent on somebody just remembering to do it.
Yeah, no, I've got quite a few different staff members that I could assign, and I can work offline with Arvin to come up with it. If you guys have something like when I bring on a new hire, we have our checklist of items that have to be done.
Okay.
A new fire, I have a recruit group going through right now, and they've got a task book that they have to go through. So if that's something that you would like to add as you bring on, and then we can also do it regardless of whether you have new people or not, we can also bring on.
Exactly.
Do annual, because if it's not something you utilize every day
Yeah.
or even every week.
I just don't want the training to be the responsibility of the tower personnel.
No, we can do that.
It needs to be the fire department coming there and getting everybody together. It can be a refresher for the people that are there, but there absolutely needs to be some type of formal mechanism in place. And Arvin, I'm suggesting that you three guys get together and figure out how to do that so your tower is, we go forward from here and we don't have to worry about do they know how to use the equipment.
I have no problem with that whatsoever. And again, like I said, I've got quite a few different staff members that are very good at that specific type of training. Two in particular, so it would be easy for me so regardless of the date.
Okay.
So just off the cuff there, I mean, I just think that that's between the tower and the fire department. Wouldn't it be easy just to do a video that all new hires that come in would be able to watch to be able to utilize that?
You could, there's one. It's one thing to watch the video, but to actually do hands-on, and it sounds kind of strange, but if you're not comfortable with that handheld radio, people get very like, am I supposed to, what exactly am I supposed to do with this? It's a matter of getting familiar with it, and granted, it could be 5 or 10 minutes worth of discussion and hands-on with it, knowing how to change, because a lot of times they'll come over the main comms channel, and then you get, when dispatch says, okay, they get the information, they tone out our stations, and then they assign a TAC channel. And understanding how to get to that TAC channel, there's a lot of buttons on there, and it's relatively simple, but when it's somebody who's done
if there's a new hire, if there's a new hire, could there be a protocol set up that with a new hire at ATC, that they contact you and have somebody from the facility, from the fire department, train them?
Yeah, that's what I'm,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying, is, yeah, when you bring that new person on, we could easily set something up, and whatever time of day or week you want us to come over, we have the person, whether it be one of the battalion chiefs or the train chief, come over and sit down and go. And at the same time, you can also it can be a refresher for the rest of the staff that might be there as well.
Okay.
So it's extremely easily.
So I just want an action so that gets done and we get follow-up
Absolutely.
that's in place, that new hires are going to be trained, you
Yep.
guys are going to do the training,
Yep.
and we're not going to get into a
And we can,
situation. again.
so you can do the new hires, and then if you want to, we can do it, and we can set it up for an annual schedule every January. We do the refresher training with everybody, and that's something we can easily accomplish.
Any other
as well.
questions, David or
Well,
Celeste?
I think that particularly the annual training, refresher training is important, because just like you said, you don't pick up that radio for 2 years,
That's right.
and I know, oh, we got an emergency. How do I do that again?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, it's just having being familiar with its
Well,
capabilities.
it was a great effort. That we had all the right talent on that phone call. We had the right people to talk about it. There were people there that knows, here's what we did originally, this is how it was set up, and apparently because of some turnover numbers, and
Sure.
it had kind of fallen in the crack, and this fixed it. I just want to make sure that there's a process in place
Yeah.
that keeps it going.
Yeah, that we can definitely handle that.
Okay, are we good?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Chief, Deputy Chief, we appreciate you.
Any other questions?
No, sir.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks
Not
for
a problem.
coming.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to Section 3, Public Input. This is an opportunity for comments and feedback from New Smyrna Beach residents to the Airport Board. Do we have anyone that would want to present today? If you would come to the microphone and tell us your name and your address, and we will have 3 minutes.
You ready?
Cynthia Radigan. I live in Terra Trail here in New Smyrna. I've been coming before this board and the City Commission Board for nigh on 20 years over airport noise and pollution issues. So I think you all recognize me. I understand that the Airport Advisory Board is here to advise the airport, the business at large of the airport, and the businesses within the airport, and that this is not a city commission meeting. But I think you all really need to know and understand that while you've done a noise study and a follow-up noise study, and we used to have some really good progress in having some noise abatement policies put in place to give some relief to the residents that surround the airport. But since the second noise study review has been done, all of that has gone out the window, and they, not always, but most often, have pretty much ignored all of those original good neighbor policies that we had set in place in order to get some much needed relief. If you live within a mile of this airport and you're anywhere within any of those patterns, it is like being in a living hell. You feel like you're living in World War III and you're just waiting for the bombs to drop, especially when there's 4+ planes in a pattern at any given time. I mean, there's just no relief. I mean, it's a tremendous amount of stress that you couldn't possibly understand unless you were actually living it. and living under it, you know? So I'm here asking that, once again, we have a roundtable discussion, so that you hear from the people that are being most impacted and what they feel might bring some relief, and work with the school and with the airport to come up with some compromise to give us some relief, because it's unbearable some days. It's just absolutely unbearable. And I don't have a problem about airports or planes or pilots per se. I have a lot of pilots in my family and my husband's family. So that's not the issue. The issue is that it's a constant impact on my sanctuary, my home, my haven. And it's constant, and it's painful, it's stressful. And I just think that we all need to work together to try to find some resolution. And I just feel that it shouldn't be ignored anymore. I have made multiple attempts to address these issues directly with Epic Aviation, to absolutely no avail. They've offered to sit down and have a conversation with me, gone. I mean, I've made multiple phone calls and never gotten a call back. I need help from the airport.
Ms. Radigan, you've
from
timed
you.
out on
Pardon?
You've timed out. Your 3 minutes are now up.
Thank you. I'm so glad that I'm holding everybody else up. But, I mean, this is important. It's very important, and there are more people like myself out there.
Thank
I'm
you.
probably the loudest, and you all know it.
Thank you very much for your comments. All right. Pressing on. Consent agenda. Item 4A, consider the approval of the Airport Advisory Board regular meeting minutes from October 27. I've reviewed those with Teresa, and there were just some formatting, minor corrections that we had to do in there, but those were updated. Did anybody else have any comments with those minutes or concerns?
No, motion to approve?
We just need a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. Tim, motion to approve, and Celeste seconded.
Chair Dempsey,
Yes.
Member Caudill,
Yes.
Member Lester,
Yes.
Member Mabe.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you very much.
Airport noise.
Yeah, and there we go. Arvin, would you like to do the airport noise presentation?
Yes, thank you, Chair Dempsey. So for the noise review over the last few months, I'll first go over our touch and go. As you can see, there's no data for November and December. So there was an outage by a website that we use for reviewing the air traffic control recordings, which is how we identify how the touch and goes were. And so unfortunately, that made it difficult for us to determine. So we're having some data missing on that. So the website is liveatc.com. We've talked to the owner of LiveATC. This feed is back up, but we have offered to assist them in the future by setting up some remote, I forget what they are, I guess not antennas, but it's the devices that capture the recordings. So we'll be looking to do that when we actually have a new admin building, because we don't have any space right now for that equipment. So in the meantime, the equipment is back up and is operational, so we are capturing data again, but we have a little bit of a opportunity there for improvement. So I was not aware that where the feed was originating, and so now we know, and so now we can take some steps to kind of have a backup system in place.
Is that budgeted?
The budgeted? No, there's no cost to that.
Oh, so the equipment will be provided?
The equipment, yes. The
Would
equipment
be-
will be provided to us. We just have to have, the bandwidth to make sure that and space to put it, so there may be a small cost to get it set up initially, but no, they'll provide the
But
equipment.
these numbers are accurate here.
The numbers are accurate. It's just that November and December for the month of, for 2025 are missing. As you can see there, it kind of ends, and this is just the touch and goes. But overall, for the year, we're about within trend. It was trending up a little bit, and these are the touch and goes outside of the voluntary noise abatement program. one more chart here, drag it over. So this is the Inlet Shores flyovers, which is in our noise abatement, current noise abatement procedure, or voluntary noise abatement program. And those numbers have actually dropped quite a bit. I think we're the lowest, for this time of year, we're about the lowest we've been. I did spend, along with, as you know, Epic self-monitors, and then we monitor as well. I'm seeing when I spend quite a bit of time reviewing these numbers, and I can tell you that 90% of the time, or even greater, if there was a flyover, it was requested by ATC or as part of training. So the compliance is pretty good. I don't know how you get it much better, but the times when we are using runway 1129, those definitely trend up. In June, I think 725 was closed, and so there was, we were using 1129 a lot heavier, so those numbers did increase. So, but I think overall you can see that there's been some good, solid efforts to try to keep those numbers. You can kind of see where the trend lines are, between 63 and 200 every month.
Help me understand again how Inlet Shores became the litmus test for these flyover was that area considered to be the most impacted, or are there other areas? I mean,
I really can't say. I mean, that was in place before me. I don't know why that had more attention than other areas. I know it's one of the only areas that you.
Well, I remember when we did the noise thing, and we were at the Brandon Center. We had the big charts, and we had everything in different color schemes and impacts in different areas. I'm just trying to get in my mind. Was Inlet Shores considered to be the worst location, or is?
I don't know, other than it's always been a part of there's no other communities in the voluntary noise abatement program that the voluntary noise abatement program asks pilots to avoid. Why it was originally put in, I'm not sure. It is one of the few neighborhoods in the area that could be possibly avoided because it's not right at the end of a runway, or it's not part of not directly underneath the typical flight pattern, but it's still impossible to avoid entirely.
I think I'm going to go back and look at some of those presentations that we did back then and see if there should be anything else that we consider besides Inlet Shores when we're looking at these numbers.
Yeah, if you look at the flight patterns, there's no other, all the other neighborhoods that are impacted are hit in far greater numbers than Inlet Shores, but it's even harder to avoid them because
they're under the traffic.
You're underneath the traffic pattern no matter which runway that you use. There are some runways where some people fare better than others if the certain wind conditions or certain runway, but if they're using left-hand or right-hand pattern, but all that, I would say all that goes back to safety and what air traffic control and the pilot in command is trying to do. We can't.
Okay, thank you.
So on noise, that I will have one other thing that's not on an actual graph, but for the month of February, we are testing the calm wind runway suggestion that was made back with the noise study that we did, a year and a half, 2 years ago. We are going to roll that out for the month of February. We're going to use with air traffic control, work with air traffic control and the users to test out runway 7 and runway 11 as the calm wind runways. So either or could be used, or both, if needed for departures. But both of those runways, if the winds are less than 5 knots, or is it 4 knots? Anyway, whatever the definition of calm wind runway is, I think it's less than 5. If the winds are less than 5, then the preferred runway would be 7 or 11. But that doesn't, obviously, that's still voluntary, and if there was some other requirement for safety or whatever, obviously that takes precedence. So we'll report back on how that went. If that goes well, and the users report no impacts, ATC reports no, safety concerns from it, then we will go ahead and put that in publish that with the FAA and I forget the name, but anyway, it used to be called the Green Book, but the Charter supplement, thank you. Most airports have a calm wind runway. We're one of the few that doesn't. I think at some point, looking back over previous advisory boards meetings, that they had discussed making the calm wind runway, but it just never happened. So we're going to test it and see what happens.
Okay. Anything else on noise?
No.
I have one more question for you. The recommendations that the advisory board put together after the surveys and activities and community meetings that we held, and those were presented to the city commission, what's the update on the status of the approval or whatever they're going to do with those?
I never got any clear direction I presented that to the leadership for the city, and I never got any clear direction about putting that back on the agenda. So testing this is one of the things that we're going to do. At some point, if you want to make another recommendation, you can, but I have not been able to get that back on the agenda.
Well, the calm wind runway was one of those.
Correct.
Right. So if we've now got a project underway where we can get some real-time data from the effectiveness of doing that, why don't we run through that and then go ring the bell for the city commission on where they are with what we've already submitted?
Okay.
Okay? You guys okay with it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, continuing, moving on to item number 6, safety.
So that I was
We already did that.
Well, we
Dan
did the
Harshberger's presentation was part of that, but I want to add to that. Want to also just mention and make you aware that we did have annual training with the fire department where we do orientation on the airport airfield. So we have done that. We did that about 2 months ago. So we had every member of the fire department out, and we talk about, we give them a little tour, and we talk about the airport and the layout, and it's a little orientation. So we have done that recurrent training. The only other safety item was, and I have that in my main presentation, but just talking a little bit about, bird strikes and things of that nature. But that was all I had for safety for this meeting.
Well, I just want to give you an opportunity if we had any more besides what the chief had to say. Okay.
Sure.
All right. Okay. Continuing on to item 7, new business.
No new business.
No new business. Item 8, old business.
None that I'm aware of. There will be some items to discuss during my presentation that is, for consideration, but.
All right. Well, we've kind of combined old business into your airport manager comments section, so we'll go there next. Item 9, airport manager
Sounds
update.
good. All right, well, I want to start off by saying, thank you to Chair Dempsey, and thank you to the board for your service to the airport and the city this past year. We have, at the end of my presentation, we're going to go over a little bit of your, I think you have a handout there where Teresa shared your current terms, and so we'll go over some questions and things like that about that at the end. But
I kind of asked for that, just so we would all know who, where, and where they stand and when your term is kind of going to be up, because it's easy.
Yeah.
Because several of us have been extended for, like when I moved in the chairman's role, I think it'll get extended or something. So this was just an intent to let people know.
So our mission, our focus remains on modernizing and upgrading our facilities to ensure that our users have a safe and efficient gateway to the city and community. I think safety has been and always going to be our top priority in everything that we're doing. So just a little bit of a review. So last meeting we talked about the runway counts, and we were talking, I think at length about runway 220. So just to kind of review and bring us back up to speed on that conversation. We talked about the challenges we face for the funding of runway 220, the rehab. I shared some numbers with you on the runway counts. This is the operation count for each set of runways for the same time period each year. So this is actually the fiscal, at that time it was the fiscal year because I was doing October 1 through September 30th. So you think October 1 through September 30th, 2024 versus 2025. So you can see the numbers dipped a little, but it was a heavy impact from Taxiway Bravo construction, and it wasn't a surprise. And so, to be fair, I wanted to run the numbers for the operation count since Taxiway Bravo project has been substantially complete. And the total is actually, the trends are similar, but the count is actually up a little. And so what we're seeing is very similar numbers for 220 compared to last year. So if you go, October through December, a 3-month period, we're halfway or more than halfway through January, but we don't have the full month. So taking full months, October through December 2024 versus 2025, so we can compare apples to apples. We're similar. In fact, the count's up just about, I think 1,500 or so. So it's noteworthy that 220 continues to be used as much and more than runway 1129. I thought that was interesting.
It's 20 to 25% all the time.
Yeah. So, and again, we're in that time of year when it is.
Yeah.
But I think this is important information because it shows this runway continues to be an important part of our operation. You might remember, in order to secure funding for the rehab of this runway, we've got to demonstrate that the project is necessary for safety capacity or to meet specific wind coverage requirements. So this requires a justification study. It's usually included in an airport master plan. An airport master plan typically takes about 18 months. And so I don't think this is our first choice, as we know the condition of this runway. I had our city's finance team do a deep dive into our finances. We're required, being an enterprise fund, we're required to have a certain amount of reserves as an emergency fund. Even that, with taking that into effect, we have adequate money to do a study, more than enough to do a study of 100,000. So, in fact, let me back up a little bit here. So, just to kind of understand, considering the condition of the runway, how long it take to get a master plan done, I think, considering how much money we have in our reserves, I also went back to one of our planning firms and I said, okay, I know you gave me this figure, I need you to take a really hard look at that. Is that really the number?
That was 120?
Yeah, he said, well, that was, 120. So they took a look at it again. He was giving me kind of a broad, estimate. I said, I need to know, give me and so today he came back with that he could do it for around 50. So big difference. So I think, we owe it to the users. I know we've had some pretty healthy discussions about it. I would fully support moving forward. I'd really like your recommendation. We can still look at other ways to extend the life of that runway in the meantime, have our engineers to come out, but regardless of what they do, the runway's in need of this. It's kind of past, the numbers over the past few years, really show that it's not getting any better. So, I think we could
What does it take to make that
discuss
happen?
it a little bit.
What does it take to make that happen?
A recommendation from you, and then I go to the city manager and we make it happen. We'll take it to the commission. Being the amount, if it can under 50, it could be as simple as your recommendation, a letter from me, justifying, and we get a stamp of approval from the city manager, and we move forward with the amount being as low as it is. What we then, and I think this is our best way forward. It's not a guarantee, you understand? I mean, if the justification comes back, report saying, hey, sorry, you still don't meet that threshold, but at least now we know what we're up against. And I think when you look at the grand scheme of things, it's kind of a low. I mean, we spent around that to get restriping done for a runway. So, I mean, things are expensive. So, my opinion, I'd like to move forward, but I really want to hear from you all, and you want to discuss it a little bit. Wanted to kind of open that up to you.
It's a no-brainer. I mean, it's literally a no-brainer. That's with those numbers, that's a no-brainer because, again, having that runway at that percentage helps the citizens in New Smyrna Beach. It changes traffic.
It doesn't put the burden on everybody else.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know why we wouldn't do that. If the funds are there, like I don't know what you need to do that, but I mean, I would ask,
Well,
I mean, I don't know if we need I don't know what we need to do.
I'm going to suggest you make a motion, and somebody will second it,
I 100% make a motion for you to go forward with that. You would do that to the commission, correct?
Well, depends on the amount.
If it's under
If it's
50?
under 50, it doesn't actually have to go to the city commission.
Then I make a motion for you to go forward with that, Arvin, and get this going.
Sounds good?
I'll second it.
Chair Dempsey,
She's going to call a roll.
roll call
Yes.
for the motion. Yes. Member Cardell,
Yes.
Member Lester,
Yes.
Member Mabe.
Yes.
Motion for the runway study carries.
Thank you.
All right.
Moving on. So another one of the projects that we've been working on, I'm pleased to share with the board and the stakeholders, the airport's received approval on our Exhibit A property map. So kind of understanding this is a project, like I said, it's been in the works for a past year or so. This is an important part of our federal obligation to the FAA for any airport sponsor. This is a requirement. It's a legal snapshot. It shows, that we own everything. It shows the boundaries, the history of each parcel. We did a complete boundary survey. And this is important. Anytime you do any land use change, you need to have this document. I'm going to just kind of minimize this. I'm actually going to open up the actual document itself so that you can see what it looks like. So this is, what you're looking at is the original boundary of the airport in 1947. This boundary survey was done, and this is probably one of the only times the airport's actually had this. This is probably the most complete document we've ever had. We understand now every boundary. We understand all the parcels. We have a complete and clear inventory of all of the land. And that's something that there was some ambiguity on before, because the previous master plan did not include it. I'm not sure why, but just to kind of fast forward to the next page.
So US 1 went through the airport.
It still does, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. South Street.
Yeah.
The railroad, or almost the railroad. So Rocco Park is part of airport property. That's something we didn't know before. Now we know. We just found this out. What this does is it answers some questions. It also opens the door to other questions. What are our obligations, for example, Rocco Park? Or there's some other things there that, what does that mean for the city? So this is actually helping the city to be compliant with our federal obligations. This snapshot that you're looking at here is actually from 1977, when this is showing, the yellow is showing the land that the city asked the FAA if they could release from federal obligations. I mean, they told the FAA, we don't need to use this for aeronautical use. I'm not sure what, at the time, that made sense. I'm sorry, this was 1959, not 1979. 1959. And they ended up selling off some of the land that you see with the hash marks. Some of that land was sold off. This is the land in 1977 that the city commission said, we want to re-obligate. And so they re-obligated some of the land, and then this is future. This exhibit shows the navigation easements that we would like to get. We don't necessarily have, but we should try to get. And this is to protect the approaches for the airport. This is something legal that we have to work on. This shows the existing airport as it exists today. So everything that's got a dash line around it has been disposed, meaning it's been sold. So you'll notice, for example, the area where Lost Lagoon is, kind of towards, I'll put my cursor over it, see Lost Lagoon right here? And Epic owns part of this land. It was land that was sold to somebody before Epic, but some of this land here in the industrial park And everything, again, everything in yellow has been marked as free from federal obligations. What does that mean? It means that it doesn't have to be used for aeronautical use. It doesn't have to be. I mean that you can't, but it means that it doesn't have to be used. So this is opening, we're down, now that we have this information, it's like step one, okay? Now we have to go dive deeper and look into the land that we are using. Is it being used correctly? Are we following our federal, our grant assurances and our federal requirements on this land? And so that's something that I'm diving deeper with the city on. So, but I wanted to update you, as at some point I will be updating the city commission on this document because it does have the potential to impact city use and things like that of some property, so.
Okay, very good. Great find.
Yeah, this is a really cool, and what's nice about this too is so all these are hyperlinked. So if I want to look at a certain parcel, I just click this and it'll open the document. So this is actually the original deed, the deed of release from 1959, where the FAA released the land that they had deeded to the city back in 1947. So this kind of sounds like they release it. Doesn't mean that it's free from all federal, but it just means they still have to use any funds. There's a requirement that says you have to use the funds generated by this land. Even though if they've released it, you don't have to use it for aeronautical purposes, but you still have to use the funds for the airport. You can't take the funds generated by airport property and say use it for fire or use it for police. All right. So just wanted to give you a brief update on that. So going back to our slideshow here. Any questions on that Exhibit A? Or
I think it's going to be very helpful for us going forward, having this history. Okay?
Do you have any concerns, Arvin, about what you discovered? From an airport
I don't know if I'm
standpoint?
ready to, it's a little early maybe to say that, I'm still kind of digesting it all. I think
'Cause that
the
could put more
concerns
obligation
would
on the
be,
airport, right?
the concerns remain that we are using our property for its best and highest use, and that we are, yeah, I think that's probably the biggest concern that I have yet, but I'm not quite ready to share all the details for me. I think we're just kind of in the discovery phase now.
Okay, press on with the airport manager. Update. Any further?
I don't know why this is, I apologize, let me just start this again here. All right, just a little update on our projects. For this CRA-funded project, the design is underway. The engineers, actually, they were on site today doing what's known as geotech survey. So this is where they look at the subsurface soil, the rocks, the groundwater conditions, and things like that. But this CRA-funded project has the intent to increase interest in the development of hangars, larger hangars. This is just a kind of a snapshot of what could be like a feasibility. So what this design is to bring utilities and make it site ready, pad ready, if you will, for potential developers. So admin building, we had a pre-construction meeting on the 23rd, sorry. We got a groundbreaking date today, actually. So February 12th at 1:30, mark your calendars. February 12th at 1:30 p.m. We'll have a groundbreaking ceremony there at the admin building. Bring your sledgehammers. No. The first step is we've got to have a airport trailer delivered, and that'll be on site. And then we'll have about 10 days to move in. Everything's already kicked off and rolling quickly.
What time?
Sorry?
What time?
February 12th at 1:30. Okay. Guys, I have to, sorry, I have to pause for 30 seconds. I apologize, but I got to cancel a NOTAM, sorry, so that they can use a runway. Hold on. You're welcome. Will you let him know that that's been canceled so he can let the tower know? Thank you. So we have, it's a 200 calendar day project with 153 working days. They're shooting for end of September to be complete, and that'll be another ceremony. So very excited about this. That's a floor plan. As discussed before, looking forward to having, a little museum display in there, having a proper public space that we can welcome you and everybody that comes to the airport. So, yeah.
As you go forward on this, would you mind throwing an elevation in this as well so we
Sure.
can see what it looks like from the outside too?
Yeah, I can, absolutely, yep.
I think we've got one.
So capital improvement projects, Taxiway Bravo. We had a little bit of flaking out there, issues with flaking paint. I think that what happened was the centerline markings had maybe the viscosity was a little thick, and so some of that started coming off. They've already been out. They were out this past week, and they removed the old markings in areas that was peeling and applied it, and it looks good. So regardless of the cause, they came back out and fixed it already. This past weekend, in fact, they've just now completed. That's why I had to cancel that NOTAM. We were restriping 1129. We did Saturday and Sunday. We were on site, making sure that Highlight, the contractor, they did a great job. It looks really nice. Once I get pictures of the whole runway, I'll share those, but it wasn't done. There you can see them kind of looking, they're measuring every step of the way. And so that runway now has fresh markings. There's another picture of it there, 29. You can see a little bit of dirt there from all the trucks, but that'll wash off.
Looks good.
A few other projects. We got T-Hangar E. That's going to be going out to bid shortly. We're getting the bid questionnaires. That's very, very soon. We've already been in contact with the tenants from that hangar about what to expect. But they're going to get at least 60 days notice before, we ask them to remove their aircraft for a brief period of time while we're just doing the roof and address some corrosion. This one's not as bad as T-Hangar F was, so we anticipate that it should be not take quite as long. Septic to sewer is another project that we're getting out. That's for the tower, so they can actually have a sewer, proper sewer. They've been on septic this whole time. Should hopefully by our next meeting when that's going to go out to bid. We had a design review meeting last week. We went over the areas we want to focus on for the airport perimeter fence. Our focus is on the areas most heavily impacted from coyotes. Working with Public Works to determine exactly how far to set back that fence. But phase one of that project will have proper fencing around those the areas around the sports complex and around the industrial park area. So let's see. And kind of a cool little thing that we just kicked off, a feasibility study for the intersection at Inlet Shores and US 1. This is a feasibility study only, and this is funded by the CRA, so not airport dollars, but airport entrance in the master plan, it calls for a airport entrance basically right across the street from Inlet Shores. I talked with FDOT. As you all know, if you've lived in the area long enough, you know how dangerous that intersection, that whole area can be. We had a couple fatalities a year or two ago right there by Inlet Shores. In discussions with FDOT, they're open to the idea of putting some type of intersection there at Inlet Shores and then actually changing the entrance to the airport there. So right now, the feasibility study, it's already underway. They're looking to enhance the intersection, the entrance, and also potentially create a gateway to the city and the airport. So the word roundabout's been used. We don't know exactly what will come of this, but excited to kind of see where the feasibility study points us. And once that's underway, then we'll give those recommendations to FDOT, and they'll come back and then we'll, look for funding and
Is
things
there a
like
date
that.
for that study? Do we have a date?
They don't have, I think it's only 60 days and it's kicked off, so I would imagine it should only be another 6 weeks or so. So we'll have the information, I'm sure. And there'll be, as part of that, Jim, there will be public meetings. We'll be inviting the neighborhoods and things like that. So that'll be advertised and make sure that everybody attends that is interested in that project. And again, it's feasibility, so it's not design, it's just what can be. Wildlife management, so USDA, we've removed 5 coyotes since October. We've been trying to be pretty aggressive with them as they've been aggressive, and we, continue to see some evidence that there are still some coyotes around, although it seems like the sightings have dipped some. That's one of the first things that this wildlife fence is going to address, is the areas where we know they're transiting back and forth. The most recent bird strike that I'm aware of, that's on record anyway, is on September 29th. We had a black-bellied plover. That's what it looks like. Aircraft unknown. But we continue to identify when there's a bird strike. We continue to send the sample to the Smithsonian, like all airports do, and get the DNA. So we're tracking, the types of bird strikes that we're having. Social media, doing something new where we try to highlight a tenant every month or so. Most recent one was George Baker Aviation. Proud of all the work that Baker does over there. He has a really long waiting list, continues to have a significant a customer base, and seems to be doing well. So excited about him. And by the way, that was for those of you who may not remember, that was why we did not build the admin building. We were able to secure funding that was originally for the admin building in 2022, and then we instead bought that property from Baker. And so he's a tenant of the airport, and I would think that was a really good investment in the airport and in a really strong business. So most of you know we got a new staff member joining the team next week, February 2nd. Chris Stiles joins our team. Seasoned aviation leader with decades of airport experience. Most recently was Lee County Airport Authority. He oversaw Southwest Florida International Airport. Before that, he was the director of operations at Jacksonville International for 15 years. His career started in 1984, where he was an aircraft mechanic and instructor flight engineer. He's very enthusiastic, very energetic, can't wait to join the team. I think he's going to bring a lot of fresh ideas, a lot of energy to the airport and the community. So very excited for you all to meet him and see what we can accomplish together as a team. Questions, comments?
I have a lot of stuff at home that I did a lot of research on the airport. I'm going to go through that, and I'm going to bring it to you. There's a lot of different, a lot. I mean, it's like big boxes and stuff. Because I think that might help a little bit on certain things, items and stuff. I think everything
Can you all
does.
hear her?
Can you hear me?
You're just
Oh.
real close.
I have a lot of information on the airport because it's kind of like my passion. And so I have a lot of stuff, and I've gone through the museum because they had a lot of information for me and just a whole bunch of stuff. And I'm going to pull those boxes out, and I'm going to look and see if there's anything in there that we possibly might want to use.
Awesome. Very good.
So that's my thing.
Thank you, Celeste.
You're welcome.
David, any comment? I'm moving right on to item 10. If we have any questions for you, we'll bring them up then. So I know you guys are trying to get back to the airport and get this stuff done.
Well, so, yeah, and on that, we just got word that they're done. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
like, I couldn't end the day on a better note. So this is a great project. So glad it was done. But that actually kind of completes, we had Taxiway Bravo,
Yeah.
and then we kind of rolled into wanting to do 1129. So, I mean, we've got fresh paint on 725. We've got fresh paint on Bravo. We've got fresh paint on 1129. Now we're going to talk about 220. So we're just going to try to keep this momentum going and,
Yeah.
you know.
Awesome. David, any comments or questions?
I don't have anything.
Nothing? Ken?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I think the motion that we made that Tim submitted regarding 0220 and formalizing that and getting that study done, that kind of has to be where our next kind of energy is going. You know, we kind of get different things that we focus on, that we focus our energies on. But,
I will say one, let me say one thing. Jim, sorry.
oh, no, man, you go ahead.
I just want to touch on that because as a pilot and on behalf of the airport and for our community, and I want to be on record for saying this because it's a tough job to make everybody happy in a community because everybody has different situations and different circumstances. But from a pilot's perspective and from a citizen perspective, it would be easy to say, okay, well, you know, runway 220 is just good for pilots. But it's really, really good for the community because pilots avoid using that runway due to the condition, which puts more use on the other runways. And I believe a lot of times when I'm flying here, and I fly a lot, 220 would really be a great runway to use, but I avoid it like the plague because of the condition of the runway. And I think if that was done, that it would actually help and provide just assistance to the community of moving traffic flow from some of the people and some of the neighborhoods that see a little bit more traffic. While I did look, if you're in a pattern that within that 3-mile radius on a left traffic pattern and runway 2, you're still going to cross over neighborhoods. There's no way to avoid that. But it's not saying we can't eliminate air traffic over top of New Smyrna. There's no way to eliminate it over top of houses. But we can divert it a little bit and provide opportunity for pilots to have opportunities to use other runways to where at least the flow is different. We're never going to obliterate noise from an airplane above the city of New Smyrna Beach. And for the citizens of New Smyrna Beach, it's really important to, if you have a property that you're purchasing, that if that's something that bothers you, that you avoid those areas. And I empathize with you, Arvin, because you, as an airport manager, there's only so much you can do. And I realize that. But I am happy to see us moving forward with something that could possibly help the citizens of New Smyrna Beach and then also for the safety of pilots around, which again, the safety of pilots affects the citizens.
Excellent comments. For myself, just one or two items. What happened to our intern? You guys were going to make an offer to the intern, and we were going to get an intern, and I know with Jacob gone and everything that's been going on, how did that go?
Well, she was with us a few months and then moved on to something else. It was kind of an experiment that I would say maybe didn't go as well as we would have liked. I mean, I think she did an okay job, but with the amount of time that we have to put into training somebody and then, you know, and then the lifespan of it, it just didn't, it wasn't ideal.
What was the intern for?
She was in a graduate program at Embry-Riddle.
Yes.
And
yes.
The intern program was going to augment what Jacob was doing, what Arvin was doing, and those types of things. Provide support to them with the background type of stuff.
Yeah.
Software.
Well, I mean, it's still. We've done it. We know how to do it with the city. Maybe when we get Chris, once we get Chris on board, get him up to speed. There's a lot of things that we can still continue to branch out and do. Last few months we've been flying the airplane, so to speak, but yes, we can get back to that. Look at it again.
Okay. Well, okay. I had several other questions, but you answered all of them already, so we're good to go on those. After member comments, the next meeting update is April 27th, and just so everybody's got it as well, the one after that is going to be July 27th and then October 26th, just so everybody can bounce those into their calendars and make sure that we're available.
October what?
26 will be the final
So
one.
27, 27, 26.
Correct.
And on that note, I gave each of y'all a list of your terms. So the ones that are, so to speak, expiring in September 26, we will review those at the July meeting.
Okay, so we got some turnover coming up on the board. I'm just expecting the city to be doing their due diligence and coming up with qualified candidates and maybe inviting people to come sit in on the meetings ahead of time. You don't want to lose all of us at once, okay?
You might. Look at that grin on his face.
No, I agree.
I'm just
yeah.
kidding.
Okay, anything,
I was going to ask who on the board is looking at retiring from the committee so that we, as the city, know what we're looking at moving forward. Okay,
so David said yes?
yes.
I'm maybe a little iffy. This is 6 years for me. So
And we thank you for that very much.
I'll have to think about that as we go forward,
It
okay?
was either 8 or 9 years the first time around, and then this 3, so I'm ready to.
Yeah,
Thank you as well.
yeah.
I'm happy.
Perfect.
I'm just having to think about it a little bit, okay? All right. Anything else? Any other questions or concerns? All right, we'll adjourn this meeting.